More so now than ever, you can make the argument that games, and gaming as an interactive medium, should be taken as seriously as other creative endeavors such as movies, television, and music. While there are undoubtedly games that are simpler and less artistically driven, there's a growing segment of the gaming market devoted to telling meaningful, moving stories, rather than raising the bar for gameplay. Some popular releases in this field include Gone Home, Dear Esther, and the Amnesia series. In search of a good mystery, and hopefully a strong story, I decided to give another game in this subgenre, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, a try. To note, this review is based upon the Redux edition of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. This was a newer remake of the game utilizing Unreal Engine 4. From my understanding, it served to smooth out some of the gameplay experience while providing improved graphics. The story, however, remains unchanged from the initial release. You will receive both the original and the remake when you purchase the game on Steam. In The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, you play the role of a detective who is contacted by a young boy, Ethan, who has gone missing. Far from just a normal private investigator, you also have some interesting supernatural talents, allowing you to converse with the dead, discover latent clues in the environment, and recompose crime scenes to see how certain situations previously played out. Gameplay consists of walking about the environment, scanning for and reviewing clues, and piecing together the mystery that lies at the heart of the game. I've heard people call this game a walking simulator, which, if you remove the negative connotation, is fairly accurate, though there is a fair bit more involved with this experience that warrants consideration. First, the obvious. The game's presentation is unequivocally beautiful. Graphics, ambient sound and effects, and music all combine together to make an experience that is a feast for the senses. I found myself simply wandering around in the environment, taking in the sights, while the moody and atmospheric soundtrack played in the background. I wouldn't quite call the graphics photorealistic, but if you squint your eyes just the right way, they're believable enough that you might be fooled. The fact that this is, in effect, an indie title makes the presentation that much more impressive. There are plenty of AAA blockbusters that don't look or sound as good as The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. While the presentation layer of the game is superb, the gameplay is a bit light. As referenced earlier, you basically explore the environment to find clues while trying to decipher the underlying story. Interactivity is very limited, but I wouldn't look at this as a negative. Much like other games in this subgenre, the emphasis here is on story rather than in-depth gameplay. In that regard, I believe the game delivers. Speaking of the story, as I played through the game, I started with a fair degree of enthusiasm as the opening story elements are cryptic enough to hook you, making you want to find out more. That said, as I neared the midpoint of the game, I began to feel like the story and its writing was coming across as amateur and less refined than other games. I pressed onwards, though, as I had enough emotional investment and truly wanted to see how everything played out in the end. And then, I reached the ending. I can't talk about the ending without delivering significant spoilers that will affect how you play, experience, and appreciate the game. I will say, however, that the ending immediately erased any doubts that I had about the story and made all of my related complaints effectively null and void, while delivering a stiff punch to the gut in the process. I can't tell you why that is without revealing spoilers, but suffice it to say, I'm extremely happy I decided to continue playing despite my story-related reservations. I'll also say that I immediately wanted to play the game again, armed with the newfound knowledge that the ending imparted. Over the past couple days, I've thought about how different elements of the game played into the ending, the hidden meanings behind certain situations, and the overall message behind the game itself. This is a game that will stick with you far beyond your initial playthrough. If you're a fan of story and exploration-based games and are willing to focus more on those elements over traditional gameplay, you absolutely owe it to yourself to play The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Whatever you do, stick with it to the end. This is a game that needs to be completed to be truly appreciated. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter gets 4 superbly detailed sunsets out of 5.